meeting compliance statement read.
I, the undersigned clerk of the Board of Education of the Alva Independent School District, number 1 of Woods County, Oklahoma, certify that prior to December 15th of the last calendar year, the date, time, and place of this regular meeting was filed in the office of the County Clerk of Woods County, Oklahoma. I also certify that at least 24 hours prior to this meeting, excluding Saturdays, Sundays, and holidays, notice of the date, time, place, and agenda of this meeting was posted in prominent public view at the office of the superintendent.
The consent agenda. All the following items, which concern reports and items of a routine nature, normally approved by one board vote, unless any board member desires to have a separate vote on any or all of these items. The consent agenda consists of the discussion, consideration, and approval of the following. 3.1, addition of items of new business to the agenda.
There are none.
3.2, minutes of the June 29, 22 regular meeting. Can you read all of them?
Yes, ma'am.
3.3, approval of the finance report. 3.4, approval of the activity fund report. 3.5, approval of the activity fund fundraisers. 3.6, approval of activity fund inter-account transfers. 3.7, approval of Booster Club sanctioning reports.
Okay, we'll go back to agenda item 3.2, or minutes from the June 29th, 2022 meeting. Did not see any errors in those minutes. Agenda item 3.3, the top attachment are the investments that we have through our treasurer, Mr. Manning. If you'll look at the, start with the bottom attachment, the finance report there. That is our normal report. I'll show you that top line there gives you our year-to-date and our chargeables. You can see in our top 3 areas, gross production, motor vehicle, and REA, we're up in all 3 of those. Just a little bit in school land earnings, and then our county floor mill did not collect what we normally collect. If you will move out of that attachment and go to the middle attachment, I have attached a finance report for the beginning of the year. And if you will open that, the first slide on that are the general fund expenses and comparisons from FY18 to FY22. You can see from this comparison, broke that down into our general fund payroll expenses, non-payroll, and total. And so you can see from this that we have decreased our payroll expenses, done a good job managing staffing. Appreciate the diligence and hard work of our students. You can also see operationally there was that dip in FY21. A lot of that is COVID related. Operationally, we weren't doing as many things that we were in previous years. All in all, our expenses have hovered in the $10.4 to $11 million range. If you look at revenue on the next slide, which will be the third slide of that presentation, you can see comparison from FY18 to FY22. You can see we had an increase in our revenue from FY21 and FY22. The caution to this is the federal funds that were received by school districts throughout FY22. That's a major impact on what the revenue was for school districts. The next slide are building fund expenses. We have not spent any of our money for payroll out of our building fund. You can see our non-payroll expenses were high in FY21. That was our art room renovation, and so that's why you see the significant jump there in FY21. Building fund revenue. On average, we collect about $600,000 with our revenue. You can see here that from FY18 to FY22, we have seen a steady increase in our actual collections and over-collected, in fact, this past year. Child nutrition. Child nutrition is an anomaly right now because of the free and reduced lunches. We'll start first with our expenses. You can see that our expenses and payroll have gone down with our contract through Keystone. Keystone takes on employees as they retire, and they begin the hiring process, provide the insurance and staffing. We have 4 cooks that are still on our payroll. You can see our non-payroll expenses have increased as we've served more students through COVID and the pandemic. If you look at revenue, you can see our revenue was pretty steady from FY18 to really FY22. We saw a $200,000 jump from FY21 to FY22. A lot of that is a direct result of the free lunches that students received throughout the school year. And that's also something that has resulted in us taking a step back and looking at some information that we brought the board a month ago. Mrs. Durkee was able to attend a training last week on some child nutrition things that the State Department is asking schools to do right now. And so we're going to be monitoring those this year, and I'll visit about that some more in just a second. The next slide, the last slide, is our fund balance. And you can see our fund balance, and these are all approximations. There's still some federal claims that we have coming in. There's still some outstanding invoices that we still need to pay. So these are approximations at this point. But you can see we have an increase in our fund balance from last year to this year. But again, I want to caution that we're carrying over $500,000 in federal funds that we already have encumbered to spend and required to spend through our Safe Return Act. So it can be a little bit deceiving when you look at that carryover. Might mention a couple of things with regard to finance. The first thing that the board should be aware of, we received a state aid penalty for class sizes in kindergarten and first grade. In 2019, a Senate bill was passed that required that you have 20 students per class, and anything over that requires a paraprofessional or an aide. We had 21 students in 3 classes. We certified a report in December, and we're not aware that we were over that at the time, and we received our penalty on June 30th. So we are in the process. There's no formal appeal process, but we are in the process of appealing that penalty. That will be a withholding over our 11 payments over the course of the school year next year. It's really difficult with the fluctuating enrollment and kind of what we're experiencing now. You have fluctuating enrollment from COVID, you have a teacher shortage, and then trying to staff at appropriate limits can be difficult. So we are monitoring that, we're working on it, we believe we have a plan to remedy that situation. Some other concerns obviously are inflationary prices with fuel, goods, anything that we purchase, so we'll be mindful of that. And then I mentioned our child nutrition fund. We collected almost $221,000 more in federal reimbursements than we did in prior year, and that's because of all the students were receiving free meals and every student was claimed. And so through the course of the training that LaDonna went through, the State Department is really concerned for schools that you're pricing to where you're able to fund your child nutrition program and fund from month to month. Claims are a month behind, and this year there will be no free food, so we know payments will be behind also. And so we're going to take a step back in the next week or so, and we're going to look at some of the information that Mrs. Durkee has gotten through this training, and we're going to bring back to the board an increase to what our proposed increase of 10 cents were to begin the year. And so I just want to make you all aware of that. She also received some information about healthy smart snacks. The State Department is concerned about snacks and what vending machines are selling to students, and so we are going to have to take a look at what our vending machines are selling to students. Mrs. Durkee has a formula that we use for that. So you're going to see some fundraisers that may have some food that's sold. And so we're going to recommend approval of those things, but we also know that in the coming weeks, as we get more information from the State Department at that level, there may be some of those fundraisers that won't be allowed to do because they don't meet an exemption. So I want to make the board aware of that also. Any questions before we move on to activity funds? Quite a bit of information. Okay, our activity fund report, agenda item 3.4. All of that activity counts are in good standing. You might notice the Land and Longfellow library counts are lower, so we'll monitor those expenses as they begin the school year. Agenda item 3.5. If you open that attachment, you will see our fundraisers. Mrs. Durkee has done an outstanding job. You can see the fundraisers from FY17 to our current year, FY23. The lighter colored fundraisers are FY23 fundraisers, and the darker ones are no longer active. We have progressively reduced the amount of fundraisers that we've had each year. Last year, we requested 130 and only 57 were completed. This year, we're requesting 113. I'll give you a minute to scroll through those, and if you have any questions, see if I can answer those. Okay, we'll move on to agenda item 3.6, inter-account transfers. If you'll open up that attachment. Have an inter-account transfer from the class of 2021. It transfers the remaining balance from that class to the class of 2029, which will be our incoming sixth graders. We keep a class account open for a year after graduation, and then our normal practice is to move that down to our sixth grade class. Agenda item 3.7, you can open up those attachments for the sanctioning of our booster clubs. We have Football Booster Club, Black and Gold Booster Club, Alva Vocal and Electric Gold, Gold Bug Coalition, Alva FFA, 4-H and Trophy Auction, and then finally the Gold Bug Band Booster Club. All of these organizations have submitted paperwork to be sanctioned, which allows them to raise money and use those funds for our kids. Are there any questions with the consent agenda? If there are none, I would recommend its approval.
Do we have a motion?
I make a motion that we approve these items. Second.
Slater,
Yes.
Parker,
Yes.
Kane,
Yes.
Hanson.
Yes.
Item number 4, vote to approve purchase order encumbrances for the following funds for fiscal year '23. 4.1, the general fund as referenced. 4.2, the building fund as referenced. 4.3, the child nutrition fund as referenced.
Okay, if you'll go back up to agenda item 4.1 and open the top agenda item, or top attachment, excuse me. Go through some of those purchase orders. Begin by saying that most of these purchase orders are blanket purchase orders to start our year. They are also normal and routine purchase orders. So we'll start with purchase order number 4, $12,000 with Alfalfa County Treasurer. This is our portion that we pay for taxes on valuation services. Purchase order number 21, $19,592 with Mass Inc. This is our district student information software, payroll, and accounting. Purchase order number 28, $11,250. This is NWEA MAP assessment. This assessment is given through the 10th grade, helps meet our goals towards our strategic plan. Purchase order number 40, $283,813. This is our OSIG property insurance that the board approved in June. Purchase order number 41, $8,000 with Oklahoma School Board Association. This is for our online policy, online meeting, assembled meetings, membership dues, and my superintendent's evaluation. Purchase order number 47, 9,500. This is an open purchase order for our retained council, Rosenstein, Fist, and Ringgold. Purchase order number 48, 89,000 Midwest Bus Sales. This is for our lease of buses. Purchase order number 55, 1,110. Substitutes, this is an open purchase order to cover substitutes for the FY23 school year. Purchase order number 56, 60 through 64 are all purchase orders to maintenance and repair and supply transportation equipment and vehicles. Purchase order number 47, $4,337.50 Gabbert Communication. That is our website app notification system for the district. Purchase order number 72, $79,050 Houghton Mifflin ICLE. This is our curriculum work that we have used throughout the district. Purchase order number 82, $18,917 with the Edgenuity. This is the credit recovery software and alternative education software used at Alva High School. Purchase order number 110, $11,000. This is professional development workstations that we will be implementing at Washington and Longfellow. And then finally, purchase order number 119, Index of Oklahoma, $62,500. This is a fire alarm system that will be installed at Alva Middle School to comply with the inspection. If you look at the second attachment on agenda item 4.1, this is the general fund payroll encumbrances for all employees up to date. So give me a second to look through that.
Number 119, is that a new system for the fire alarm, or is that modifications?
It'll be a new system.
New system.
Yes. Okay, agenda item 4.2, our building fund. Again, these purchase orders are open purchase orders to start our year. Purchase orders number 4 and 5 with Jenkins and Price and Treat Solutions for $4,000 and $8,000. Those are custodial supplies. Purchase order number 13, $35,000 with Clearwater. That's the consortium we use to purchase our natural gas. Purchase order number 14, $150,000 with OG&E. Open purchase order. And purchase order number 15 with ONG for $30,000. Again, is an open purchase order. Agenda item number 4.3. If you'll open up that agenda, that top agenda item, our child nutrition fund, purchase order number 1, $350,000. This is our food service through Keystone. Open purchase order, and then purchase order number 3, $5,000, Heartland Auto Core System. That is a purchase order that we open up and use for repairs with dishwasher and washing equipment. If you open the second attachment, that is our child nutrition payroll, and you can see our 4 remaining employees that we've encumbered their payroll for the FY23 school. Are there any questions with any of the encumbrances for agenda item 4.1, 4.2, or 4.3? If there are none, I would recommend approval of those agenda items.
I'll make the motion that we accept 4.1, 4.2, and 4.3 as presented.
Second.
Parker,
Yes.
Slater,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Kane.
Yes.
Item number 5, the superintendent's report.
Okay, we'll start with agenda item 5.1, our resignations, retirements, and reassignments. We have 2 resignations. Teresa Cummings, paraprofessional at Washington Elementary, and a resignation from Emily Kennedy as pre-K teacher at Washington Elementary. And so I want to inform the board, part of my communication, with this resignation, it is going to cause us to limit our enrollment of pre-K to 60 to comply with state law. And so we mentioned earlier those class sizes. Well, that applies to pre-K. It's 20 students per class with an adult. So every 10 kids, there must be an adult. And so we're going to limit our class to 60. Mr. Feely, currently we have 63 students that are enrolled, and so we believe that will be the best outcome for our students at this point. I'll also mention a couple of reassignments. Nacy Sutter and Kylie Feely are going to be doing our high school and middle school vocal programs. And so Nacy will be at Alva High School and will also be at Washington and Longfellow, and Kylie will be at middle school and will be at Longfellow and Lincoln. So I appreciate those two helping us out in both of those areas. They are highly professional and, as we all know, very skilled, and so they will do a great job. 5.2, for my communication, I just want to mention that our bid opening for the HVAC job in the gymnasium will be August the 2nd, and that bid opening will be in the high school cafeteria. And so we look forward to that process, and I will communicate to the board the outcome of that bid opening. I also want to mention to the board that we have been looking at our strategic plan a few years ago. We initiated this plan, and it was really one of the best times we've had as a district, working with the community members and with our teachers to formulate a strategic plan to move forward. And COVID really caused us to put that on hold, and so we hope to be able to get that started again. And part of that process is going to be able to report to the board and our community where we're at and how we're doing. So when you visit our website, under the accountability tab, Trevor has uploaded a document that has our scorecard. And if you go through that scorecard, you can see what we've accomplished and where we're at and where we plan to go. And so this will be continually updated. Community can see this, and we also will get back into our routine of presenting each month to the Board of Education on where we're at with these goals. That is all I have, Ms. Slater.
Item number 6, items of current business. 6.1, discussion with possible board action, vote to approve an offer of employment on a 1-year temporary contract to applicant number 1, applicant number 2, and applicant number 3, certified positions for 2022-2023 school year.
Okay, I will start with Ms. Webster.
Well, I would like to introduce Sasha Kirkpatrick. She comes to us with a counseling certificate, and she's working on her elementary PE certificate right now. She brings lots of energy and has great compassion for kiddos, so we are very excited to offer her and recommend her for our PE at Lincoln and Longfellow on a 1-year temporary contract.
Ms. Martin.
I don't know which one's which, applicant number 2 or 3. So I'll start out with Miss Carly Williams. She will be joining our team. Carly taught down in Winoka for 4 years, and then she went to some place called Riverfield Country Day School, and she taught there for 4 years as well. She's going to be joining our ELA team, and we're super excited about that and the changes that we'll be able to make. I also would like to bring Stephanie Nichols. She is going to be, it's her first time as a teacher, so she is going to come in and teach U.S. history for us and teach a psychology class at the high school as well.
Oh, cool.
And she's been in the district for 5 years, but, in a secretary position, so changed to middle school.
Thank you both.
Have a motion?
Move we approve the offers of employment for applicants 1, 2, and 3.
Second.
Slater?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Kane?
Yes.
Hanson?
Yes.
Welcome.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's real good again.
You all are welcome to stay, but you don't have to at all
The
unless you'd
first
like
part
to.
was riveting, but I'm.
Right.
She's got that on camera. Thank
I
you.
like that.
Thanks for coming.
Kinda what I thought.
6.2, discussion with possible board action, vote to approve the following teachers as adjunct instructors for the 2022-2023 school year. 6.2.1, Dixie Meyer, chemistry. 6.2.2, Mary Tyree, aeronautics. 6.2.3, Sasha Kirkpatrick, physical education. 6.2.4, Brooke Meyer, anatomy and physiology.
This is a routine agenda item that we bring to the board each year for adjunct instructors. The law has changed this year with adjunct instructors. Prior to this year, it was a 3-year maximum that you could have someone be an adjunct instructor. They have waived that. And so there is no limit to the amount of hours an adjunct instructor teaches through out of their certification area. So I would recommend the approval of these candidates for agenda item 6.2.
So moved.
Second.
Slater,
Yes.
Parker,
Yes.
Kane,
Yes.
Hanson.
Yes.
6.3, discussion with possible board action, vote to accept credits from Northwest Technology Center for students attending career tech classes and earning credits in mathematics and/or science for the 2022-2023 school year.
Again, this is a routine agenda item, provides an opportunity for our students, another excellent opportunity for our students, and I would recommend that we accept credits from Northwest Technology Center for students to earn math or science for the 22-23 school year.
I make a motion that we accept 6.3.
Second.
Kane,
Yes.
Parker,
Yes.
Slater,
Yes.
Hanson.
Yes.
6.4, discussion with possible board action, vote to approve the following salary schedules and assignments for fiscal year '23. 6.4.1, administrative salary schedule. 6.4.2, teacher salary schedule. 6.4.3, support personnel salary schedule. 6.4.4, extra duty salary schedule. 6.4.5, extra duty assignments.
Okay, we'll start with agenda item 6.4.1, or admin salary schedule, if you would like to open that attachment. That attachment was approved by the board with the addition of Mr. Foster as assistant principal, and there have been no changes since. Agenda item 6.4.2, our teacher salary schedule. You will open that up, you will notice years 30 through 35. Excuse me. Yes, 25 through 30, you can notice the additional years that we provide our teachers. So we would recommend the approval of that. Agenda item 6.4.3, our support salary schedule. There have been no changes to the support salary schedule. Agenda item 6.4.4, our extra duty salary schedule. There have been a couple of additions to that I want to point out. The first is there at the top. We have weightlifting with a $3,000 stipend. If you will move to the second page of that attachment, towards the bottom of the page, we have FFA. We have had 3 additional items there, our sponsor, and then we broke that down into ag farm and then summer projects. We also split the middle school and high school vocal jobs into separate duties and separate extra duty stipends. And then finally, we did that also with our middle school basketball coaches. Okay, agenda item 6.4.5. These are the extra duty assignments to date. Mention a few of the new ones that we have this year. First, we have Efren Barraza head softball coach and assistant baseball coach. He's the head softball coach at the middle school, assistant baseball coach at the high school. John Johnson. John Johnson will be the assistant football coach at both the high school and middle school. He will assist the high school basketball. He will assist in high school track and the head middle school coach, and has already been helping Coach Feely this summer with the high school basketball team. Gretchen Jones. Gretchen Jones will be the head basketball coach for 7th grade girls and 8th grade girls. See Adam Lloyd, a new FFA sponsor, along with Mr. Nation. Ryan Wilson. Mr. Wilson will be, in addition to his usual duties, he will also be middle school athletic director and middle school basketball. And then finally, you will see our 2 additions that I mentioned earlier with reassignment. Macy Sutter and Kylie Feely will also be additions to the extra duty assignment list this year. Are there any questions with the salary schedules? Thank the principals for their diligence in working through these extra duty assignments. It takes a lot of work to place people, find people, and so appreciate their work. If there are no questions, I would recommend approval of the salary schedules for FY23 and assignments.
Move we approve items 6.4.1 through 6.4.5.
Second.
Slater,
Yes.
Parker,
Yes.
Kane,
Yes.
Hanson.
Yes.
Item 6.5, discussion with possible board action, vote to approve the following special education service contracts for fiscal year '23. 6.5.1, Going Places Occupational Therapy Services, PLLC. 6.5.2, Jan Eden, PT.
Okay, these are both, again, routine agenda items that we bring to the board at the beginning of the school year. Jana Hickman is our occupational therapist, and Jan Eden is a physical therapist that works with our students. Appreciate Mrs. Lovelace getting these contracts together, and we recommend approval of both of those for the FY23 school year.
I make a motion that we approve the 6.5.1 and 6.5.2.
Second.
Parker,
Yes.
Slater,
Yes.
Kane,
Yes.
Hanson.
Yes.
Item 6.6, discussion with possible board action, vote to approve the renewal of the copier lease and service agreement for 9 digital copiers for fiscal year '23 as required under the provisions of the lease agreement dated November 3rd, 2021 between the Alva School District and Office Solutions, Inc., now known as Century Business Technologies.
We bring this to the Board of Education as a result of our agreement with Office Solutions. They sold their business to Century Business Technologies. They are now going to honor the lease agreement for the remainder of the lease, and so we bring that back to the board for approval.
I make a motion that we approve 6.6.
Second.
Hanson,
Yes.
Kane,
Yes.
Parker,
Yes.
Slater.
Yes. Item 6.7, discussion with possible board action, vote to approve the renewal lease agreement for 5 71 passenger buses for fiscal year '23 as required under the provisions of the lease agreement dated June 7, 2021 between the Alva School District and Midwest Bus Sales.
This is the second year of our 3-year renewable lease for these route buses. We lease these buses, and they maintenance them and work on them, and then we're able to use them and keep them under a certain mileage. Mr. Ellis recommends that we approve these route buses, and I would second that recommendation to the Board of Education.
Slater,
Yes.
Parker,
Yes.
Kane,
Yes.
Hanson.
Yes.
Item 6.8, discussion with possible board action, vote to approve the following board policies: EGG, FE, FEF.
So if you'll open up that attachment, EGG is the prohibition of race and sex discrimination in curriculum and complaint process. And so you'll recall the board has approved this policy previously, but there are now some modifications that have been made as a result of new rules implemented by the State Department of Education. And so these modifications have been underlined in this policy. It is a requirement in law that we have this policy for our district. You can see that any complaint process are received by myself at the central office and district office, unless there are any conflicts of interest. If you look at the next attachment, student transfer, FE, this is our new transfer law that we are required to bring back to the board quarterly, and so we do so for this month of July. You can also see that prior to our previous adoption of this, there have been new rules that have been applied to this through governor's orders, and so you can see those underlined. I'd like to also point out on the second page of that policy where we list our capacity, you will notice that we have our pre-K, kinder, and first grade at 80. Please remember that doesn't mean that is all that will enroll, but that is for out-of-district transfers. That's all that that applies to. Finally, the third policy that was also updated is policy FEF, and you can see the change made here. Prior to this change, it was only teachers and their children could attend a school that they taught in. Now it is any employee, and so that waives the transfer law. Any questions regarding these policies? I would recommend their approval.
Move to approve item 6.8.
Second.
Parker,
Yes.
Slater,
Yes.
Kane,
Yes.
Hanson.
Yes.
Item 6.9, discussion with possible board action, vote to approve a contract with Triarch Architecture for Alva High School cafeteria renovation.
So these next two agenda items are going to be official contracts to work with Triarch. They have been working with us on these projects, and this really just cements that working relationship. I would tell you that our cafeteria project, as we talk about some of the items we have to do with regard to raising and increasing prices, we also have a carryover amount. Because we've received so much federal reimbursement, we've submitted a plan on how we will spend that reimbursement down. And part of that plan will be through these cafeteria renovations and also equipment for our cafeteria. I would recommend approval of the contract with Triarch for our cafeteria renovation here at the high school.
So moved.
Second.
Slater,
Yes.
Parker,
Yes.
Kane,
Yes.
Hanson.
Yes.
Item 6.10, discussion with possible board action, vote to approve a contract with Triarch Architecture for Alva Schools paving projects.
So again, we separated these contracts out also with regard to how we would pay those. Our cafeteria renovations will come through our child nutrition fund, and our paving projects will potentially come out of our building fund. And so I mentioned a week ago, walking the grounds with Kyler and looking at both our cafeteria renovation, but also our paving projects. They are continuing to work on the design for both of those, and we'll be back in the fall, hopefully, with some dates for bidding. If there are no questions, I would recommend
Second.
Kane,
Yes.
Parker,
Yes.
Slater,
Yes.
Hanson.
Yes.
Item 6.11, discussion with possible board action, vote to accept an anonymous $13,500 donation to the Alva High School athletics account.
Per our policy, we did this for speech a few months ago, per our policy CDCR1, any items over 10,000 must be accepted by the Board of Education. So we're very thankful for this anonymous donation to our athletic department. Another example of why this is a really great place to live and the support of our students and our student athletes. And so I would recommend to the board that we approve this $13,500 donation.
So moved.
Second.
Parker,
Yes.
Slater,
Yes.
McDermott, I'm sorry, Kane,
Yes.
Hanson.
Yes.
Item 7, new business.
There is none.
Item number 8, proposed executive session to discuss AEA negotiations per 25 OS Section 307B2. 9, vote to convene at the executive session.
So moved.
Second.
Parker,
Yes.
Slater,
Yes.
Kane,
Thank you, guys.
Yep.
Hanson.
Thank you.